Hour 2. You're listening to the Republic of Texas radio show. I'm your host, Steve O'Brien. I've got Pete Richards on. He's the executive director of Freedom Texas. Hey, and we've been, well, let me do this again. 1-800-313-9443. Call in if you have any questions. What are you doing fighting any other battle besides freeing Texas? I don't know. Tell me if it's important or not. Do you live in Texas? Call in 800-313-9443. Tell me we need to go on another avenue. Tell me why we shouldn't free Texas. Tell me that we need to stay in the United States. Tell me something. I just want to hear it. And I have Mike in Minnesota. He's on the line. He was just finishing up his thoughts. And, you know, I don't disagree with anything Mike said so far. And I'd like to ask you something, Mike, before we move on. Why are you in Minnesota, Mike? Why don't you move to Texas and, help regain freedom and liberty? You understand an awful lot, it seems.
Well, I understand a little, and I'm learning every day. What America needs as a whole is re-education camps. And I'm not talking about re-education like North Korea, like that, but I'm re-education because this entire nation has been so brainwashed. If you tell people the truth, they'll look at you like you got 6 eyes because they have believed the lie for so long. The thing with, we'll take just Texas because we're talking about that. Texas can never be a state in its own right until it frees itself of the shackles of Great Britain.
We are not talking about Texas as a state. We're talking about Texas as a nation. Don't get me wrong.
Well, there you go. It works either way because every lawyer, every administrator, every state police officer, they're registered as corporations.
Right, yeah, I know that. I know. They don't know that.
Look at their state flag, incorporated in, and it gives the year. Until you can get rid of that entire system. I mean, the books, everything, anything that was passed from like 1930 something on, it's got to go. Because
we're singing the same song, man. We seriously are. I understand exactly where you're coming from. What are you doing in Minnesota? How are you battling the beast that's all around you, that's around your neighbors, your friends? You talk to them, they don't hear you. You say re-education camps, but you also don't like the idea of re-education camps, and neither do I. No, but how do you communicate to people?
The re-education I'm talking about is to re-educate their minds out of the administrative corporate state that we live in because we don't have a true country, say like Guatemala or something, or Colombia even. Those countries actually have constitutions. They're not. You don't see like in a province or whatever incorporated in. The minute you see that, it's not a true nation, and people don't. They look at the flag and they don't even know what they're looking at. They really don't. They don't understand what incorporated means. When even the pastors, God's sakes, the pastors are in on it because, and this angers me to no end because I didn't know this at that time.
Hey, Mike, well, hang on a second there. We got to reel this in. Don't get me started on pastors. We're going to deal with that, next week a little bit. Got somebody that's going to come on and talk about that. I do want to thank you for your call, Mike, because I need to move on. But let me say something to a lot of your points. As far as re-education goes, camps, of course, that's not a good idea. Places and groups like, Freedom Texas, that's a solution. That's a good solution. That's where we start deprogramming ourselves, and in that we can deprogram the rest of the world. We'll always be programmed by those little damn rectangles that are playing commercials and doing all this evil stuff. The idea that you are a corporation or the idea that you are free are kind of crazy to different people. I don't know. Got all worked up there, Peter. I'm sorry. What do you think? A lot of good points came from Mike.
Yes, they did. In fact, Mike is sort of talking as a tactical response to the things that he's seeing, and really the solution is more strategic. Certainly, 2 points that came up, which came to my mind as he was talking. The first one actually comes from your own introduction, which is that freedom is not free, and what does it mean to you? I think the thing here, what's happened, is that the continuing revolution to sustain freedom and liberty stopped. I don't know when it stopped, but it certainly stopped. And it certainly, this is something, if you're going to keep something going, such as freedom, which allows the interjection of all sorts of craziness, one has to have some mechanism that keeps it on the original theme. The big crossroad, which is such a touchy point in the U.S., it's not a touchy point for me, but it's a touchy point for a lot of people in the U.S., is 1861. And I want to touch on that a bit. The other point that, 1861, I want to get back to that, because that was a fork in the road that is much misunderstood and has been leveraged and used by the federalization of the Union, which actually did not start out as a federalization. It was actually a confederation. Those words are actually even in the Constitution. But let's get back to that. I think the other point that Mike was making was on education. We've got to educate these people. Well, I think there's something systemically wrong. In fact, we all know there's something systemically wrong. Our educational system, strategically, has been taken over by, call it whatever you like, Marxist, leftists, whatever you want to talk about, but from at all levels. And you could see this with the introduction of Common Core, which was a propagandization and a mental bias that was injected into the educational system, so that we're actually producing people that want a collective society who are actually okay with loss of property rights because it's sharing and all these sorts of things like that. And it's happening in Texas. I mean, from West Georgia to Harvard to the University of Texas in Austin, professors there are all eulogizing and educating people in a certain bias. And what Mike is saying is absolutely correct, is that we've actually got to stop it tactically, but more importantly, we have to stop that type of education strategically throughout our education and school system.
Right, and we got to get, government out of it. 800-313-9443. Any questions, concerns? Why aren't you in Texas? If you're in Texas, why aren't you working towards freedom and liberty? Can we fix the broken beast called the corporate United States of America? I don't think so. Do you? Can you elect another Republican or a Republican Democrat or whatever the heck those clowns are? I don't know. You did touch on 1861, and you wanted to get back to that. Why does that actually expand upon that? What do you want to get to? Peter, are you still there?
Oh, sorry. No, I am still here. Sorry. Say again. You just cut out a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was thinking about 1861,
1861. Yeah. So this is part of Texas history, because when Texas joined the Union, it was only a few decades after the Constitution was written. So the ideology of limited government and nation statehood, I don't mean a state of the U.S., I mean Israel's a state, the United Kingdom's a state, in fact Scotland's a state. That's the framework I'm using the term statehood. So the ideology of nation statehood was very deep within the Constitution. That was the background to it, which was, and you had this thing called the 10th Amendment for nullification, which also allowed all those things to go on, but it was all about limited government and each state able to decide its own future, so to speak, within the boundaries of the Constitution. 1859, 1860, 1861 comes along, and you have obviously the Confederacy wanting to break away because something different was happening in there, whether you call it abolitionism or taxation or just the executive order type concepts, those sorts of things. Something different was happening. And so you actually had a set of states that wanted to exercise their right of total nullification, which was to actually break from the Union, because that was not what it was that the Constitution was originated for. Texas, I think, saw the writing on the wall. It, too, didn't want to play ball, and fully felt justified with its means that it was to break and secede from the Union and return itself to its nation's statehood as an independent country. And then it joined the Confederacy. And those two things were separate things. It didn't join the Confederacy and then secede. It seceded first and then decided, I better join the other guys because I know there's a big bully up there somewhere that's not going to like us.
I know so
those two things are very profound in the history of Texas wanting to have its independence. Now, obviously, the Confederacy lost, and from there on forward, federalism became the rigueur for the Union, and a creeping federalism of where we have today, which, as you can plainly see, it's almost a totalitarian federalism of executive orders and denial of the Congress, denial of the process. Those things cannot be fixed. And so the end statement is that if you're going to maintain freedom, you almost have to continually work for it. You can't sit back and relax and say, oh, I have freedom now. You've got to continually work for it and make sure.
Right.
So I think that period of United States history is very profound in the sense that the governmental process did a left turn at 1861 and has actually forced those states that wanted to secede to be within the Union. It's a forced, sort of adhesion that you've now got. And that's very important for all of us to understand. Someone once said to me, Texas is an occupied country. If you roll back the history, and then you get the other argument, which is, you can't legally secede. Well, that's a very interesting statement. Also there's nowhere written in the Constitution or anywhere that says it's illegal to secede.
I know. So, I always think about that whole the path of secession feels like if you have a bit of land with a barbed wire fence and you're a sheep and there's a bunch of other sheep around, and then you go, well, I want to leave this little barbed wire fence, area, and they go, well, you can't do that. Well, why not? There's barbed wire there. Well, I can kind of scooch under it. Oh, but that's not legal. You can't get under the barbed wire. You can't get free, but I want to. But no, we have to be in here. It's like, there's so many paths to Texas independence and freedom, and it's kind of crazy, and there's so many people working for it. That's why I don't understand why a lot of Texans or Texians, however you want to define it, are working towards that goal, right? And I can point to them. I can totally point to them all day long. I can bring people on this show, and I will, every day, just normal individuals, and I will bring groups and whatever. I want to point to another thing. This is on a conversation that we had a couple days ago about the Texas Nationals, and a rumor I heard that there's going to be a check mark in the whatever legal system where they elect these laws and whatever. The current occupying forces are going to put their little checkbox for Freedom Texas, or not Freedom Texas, for Freeing Texas on there, whatever their convoluted words are. So I found out that the Texas Nationals are working on a petition drive, and I went over to the TextNet.org, and I saw that they're working to get signatures, and they say 75,000 signatures to put something on the ballot. Now, I worry about what that something is, and you had some concerns when I shared the initial concept of that was a rumor at the time. Now it's a fact, at least to me. What do you think about putting something on the ballot and saying, hey, I want to be free?
I think so. I've got a couple of comments to make on this, and I'll make them in no particular order of priority. I think it's premature to actually have that. You really only have one shot every 25 to 50 years for that type of effort. And it's a very admirable way to go. I'm not denouncing a petition drive. My personal opinion is that I think it's premature. It's premature because, very similar to Scotland, the preparatory work of the ways and means, the transition period, all those sorts of things that people generally want to know about to give them security and reassurance hasn't been done. I mean, we can't. The independent groups can't even talk to each other in a planning session. And this is one of the things of Free Texas Alliance, which is at least get the leadership talking to each other so that we can support each other's initiatives, whether we personally agree with it or not. There may be members of Freedom Texas that want to support that, and so we're okay with that. And so from a policy point of view, if you want to talk about that, from a Freedom Texas point of view, we're supportive of any initiative that can move the ball further forward to Texas independence. And we are okay with our members signing off on that petition. In fact, I say good show, Texas National Movement for trying to create an initiative like that. On a personal opinion, though, I think it's premature. And I'd much rather see us get a plan together as a group, so that instead of being a group of 6 or 7 individual organizations trying to get one-upmanship on each other, to being a group of 6 or 7 organizations throwing their bags together in some form of alliance and supporting each other. That way we look massive, as opposed to one single group trying to do something.
Oh, I totally agree.
I say more power to Texas Nationalist Movement. Go for it. Do it. And from the point of view of a Free Texas Alliance, I think sign up. But so you get your 75,000 signatures, but you don't have a critical mass out there that once that ticks on the ballot, it's going to go through. You also, I think what isn't publicized, and they've probably got it already, but I don't know, is the media onslaught, is a counter strategy for the media onslaught of ridicule and questions that is going to happen. And this is something where, as individual independence groups, we really need to band together on this, because the fact that no one's really talking about us right now is not a good. It's a good thing in one way, but we have to be very stealth, and as we work our way forward on this. Once we raise our heads above the sand, we better be prepared for counterattacks and slurs and ridicule, and we better have those answers ready. So right. I'm saying it's a good effort, but in my opinion, it's premature. Maybe next year, once we start working on plans like that, where we can support each other, that might be. And who cares who does it? I don't care who does it, but let's get the wood behind the arrow when it does happen.
Yeah. When I look at that, and I'm totally in agreement with a lot of what you said. We actually discussed a little bit about Scotland and how Scottish independence, went and was changed and voted on, and but I hold no hope in voting our way out of this, right? I can only see us getting out another way. Everybody getting together and voting. And I'm not talking about violence. I do not condone violence. I don't believe it has to be a bloody thing. But when I look at the Texas Nationals and how they're doing the petition thing, and I get it. It is not, and I agree with you. It is not the right time to do it. You're not going to get this passed through. You might get 75,000 signatures. You might get 250,000 signatures. What's your goal? That's what I really kind of look at. I say, well, what's your goal? Well, you'll probably speak to like 250,000 people and tell them that independence is important. And the music. 1-800-313-9443. Don't got too much time left in the show. If you want to call in, talk about stuff. It's time to free Texas. Maybe we can free the United States. After the fact, Public of Texas Radio. Bye-bye.
Recent events have shown just how vulnerable we are to deadly viruses, bacteria, and fungus. These diseases are all caused by infectious pathogens that often get the upper hand on conventional medical treatments. Now more than ever, there's a great need for a product that will help protect us. Look no further. Supernatural Silver can provide immune system support to help fight off these deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver is a new and vastly improved type of silver solution that's safe and extremely effective against 143 types of bacteria, both forms of viruses, mold, and yeast. Supernatural Silver can be taken orally or used topically and can be used in a nebulizer or vaporizer for inhalation. With over 180 scientific studies by independent universities, hospitals, and research institutions, Supernatural Silver is a powerful weapon against disease. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SILVER2014 for 20% off your entire order. Give you and your loved ones a fighting chance with Supernatural Silver.
There are many water filters to choose from, but there is only one system that is consistently customer rated 5 stars as the #1 system for effective filtration of fluoride, radiation, drug residues, heavy metals, a wide range of radioisotopes, and more. Introducing the Pure Effect Ultra, the next generation water filter that also raises alkaline pH, improves antioxidant potential, and has advanced anti-radiation technology, all while using no electricity. Sold worldwide, it provides virtually instant clean water on demand. It is not made in China, and the shipping is free to all 50 states. Buy your Pure Effect Ultra today by visiting PureEffectFilters.com or call 888-891-4821. Again, that's 888-891-4821 or visit PureEffectFilters.com.
Hi, my name is David Merlin from TakeFromCaesar.us. Income is defined in the tax code. All property is a cost, including labor, according to statute. You're deprived of the provisions of Section 83 whenever you pay an income tax on your compensation. According to Section 83, only the excess over the amount paid is gross income. The government can't so much as provide an interpretation of Section 83 of its own. Get your paradigm shift and understanding today at TakeFromCaesar.us.
Did you know there are 3 million edible food plants on Earth, and none have the nutritional value of the hemp plant? HempUSA.org offers you hemp protein powder. It does not contain chemicals or THC, is non-GMO, and is 100% gluten-free. Hemp protein powder burns fat, builds muscle, contains 53% protein, and feeds the body the nutrients it needs. Call 888-910-4367 and see what our powder, seeds, and oil can do for you. Only at HempUSA.org.
Hope. You know that word hope. You know the word change. I don't know about you, but those two words were poisoned back in 2008, arguably 2006, during the corporate U.S. elections. They kind of took that away from you. You know, that if you're a freedom and liberty-minded person, you know, those two words were destroyed, and by destroying those two words, well, it's kind of hard to get hope again. You're listening to the Republic of Texas radio show. I'm your host, Steve O'Brien, and I'm here to say that there is hope, and we do need to change. And it's not bad. It's good. Freedom and liberty has to be on the rise. And if it's not on the rise in you, well, get with it, man. It's all about you. There are groups. There are lots of wonderful groups out there. Today, I've got Peter Richards on the line. He's Freedom Texas, a very dynamic, working to free Texas. A little bit about the Free Texas Alliance and, one, folks.
Well, the Free Texas Alliance is an initiative where through a series of summit meetings, we are trying to attract the leadership and at multiple levels, but the leadership of all these various disparate groups to come to some form of consensus on working together and prioritize, let's say, the top 3 things that together we have to work on and publicize and represent. But in the meantime, still maintaining the individualism and the independence of all those separate groups. So, in other words, right? So, sorry, go ahead. Okay, so there's three steps that we believe now need to be taken, and those steps are that we have got to have a political entity that represents Texas independence. The second step is we have got to get the militias working together, and the third step is that we have got to have a cohesive, comprehensive social plan of what it would look like after independence is declared. So there are three major bullets that Freedom Texas is reaching out to other groups to get together, get input. We don't own those 3 points. It's not our 3 points versus your 3 points. It's the fact that we see these 3 points. If somebody comes to a Free Texas Alliance and says, well, I think there's a point number 4, and it obviously makes sense, then hell, we'll add point number 4. But for us right now, they're the 3 points that we think needs to take the next step. And there's a reason for each one of those 3 points. And I'll just briefly go through them. A political party with a platform defines an ideology that people can associate with and say, yes, all the other political parties have failed me. This one I can relate to. And through using the political system, if you believe the political system has failed, then I encourage you to vote the closest guy who represents you on that political system. Don't stop voting, but vote for that person. But at the same time, build an alternative. Don't just sit down and say, oh gosh, these guys aren't doing what I want, but I'm going to vote for them anyway. Commence building your alternative. The second point is that the militias are very disparate, and I've attended a few meetings, and these need to be cohesively pulled together. And again, still maintaining their independence and individualism, but there's certain things that have to be done for a cohesive force to actually act in times of confrontation or in times of militia need. And then the third point is a social plan. It was actually the lack of a social plan that failed the Scottish Nationalist Party. They had everything else tied up, but they could not articulate in a very clear manner what life would be like after secession from the United Kingdom. And that's what failed them. And so the social plan is incredibly important. They're the three things, Steve, that the Free Texas Alliance and Freedom Texas and your group and others, we need to work on.
Yeah, I totally see that. I want to expand upon those 3 points and watch as the Free Texas Alliance comes into, existence, I guess. That's brilliant. It really is, because as I started this radio show, the Republic of Texas Radio, I was telling people, I can't not talk about everybody else. That's just not going to happen. We need to talk about all the different groups, and you've been able to find a lot more groups. Am I hearing the music? Creeping music. 1-800-39443. We'll be on the other side for the home stretch. You're listening to the Republic of Texas Radio Show.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
The IRS is a private corporation, not a government agency. Income tax is collected by voluntary compliance. To learn to unvolunteer or discontinue volunteering into the IRS, visit escapeharassment.com and immediately implement Strategy 1. The process must be repeated each and every time. Paper, letter, envelope, presentment, etc. Always and forever. Failure equates to acceptance, subsequent resultant contract, and you pay or go to jail by your own consent and agreement contract. Avoid recontracting. Visit escapeharassment.com and implement Strategy 1 immediately. Bar lawyers and accountants won't help you. Why wait? Get Strategy 1 and immediately implement it to divorce the IRS today and forever. That's escapeharassment.com, Strategy 1, to be free from the IRS. escapeharassment.com.
Has your dancing and romancing done gone away? Are you moaning and a-groaning from the stresses of the day? Are you reeling and a-peeling because a headache's on the way? Well, relax for just a moment. Stress relief is on the way. Of what am I speaking, you ask? The essential oils of long historic use, the wisdom of the ages, the health care of the ancients, frankincense, myrrh, hyssop, and hundreds of others too numerous to mention. What could be more appealing? Do you know that Young Living Essential Oils has an element of life that makes them extremely effective in body rejuvenation? This element is called vibration, and it works with body systems, not against them. The professionals at Divine Living Oils have tested and been so impressed with this product that we are using them to help others. And who are we? We are health professionals with many years' experience. Trust us, we have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Our motto? Because we care about you. Do your health and spirit a great favor. Call us at 304-542-4226. That's 304-542-4226. Again, that's 304-542-4226.
Did you know there are 3 million edible food plants on Earth, and none have the nutritional value of the hemp plant? HempUSA.org offers you hemp protein powder. It does not contain chemicals or THC, is non-GMO, and is 100% gluten-free. Hemp protein powder burns fat, builds muscle, contains 53% protein, and feeds the body the nutrients it needs. Call 888-910-4367 and see what our powder, seeds, and oil can do for you. Only at HempUSA.org.
Come to Finca Baiano, a small community in Panama, which is being established for people who believe that a future crisis may be difficult to survive in North America after a collapse of the system. Go to bugoutpanama.com for more information. There is limited space for 100 people only. Go to bugoutpanama.com to immigrate as long as you can. Prepare. Don't despair at bugoutpanama.com.
Dr. Joel Wallach, author of the famous health lecture Dead Doctors Don't Lie, presents his newest book, Epigenetics. Epigenetics is required reading for the very survival of Americans, and yes, all of humanity. Modern man has bet on the wrong horse to save them from disease and pestilence. The medical system has failed us fearfully. Join the health revolution. Buy Epigenetics today and receive a free membership to purchase all the products that Dr. Joel Wallach formulated at wholesale prices, and receive a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. All this for only $25 plus shipping and handling. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311. Again, that's just $25 plus shipping and handling. And you'll receive the new book, Epigenetics, a free membership, and a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311.
Okay. You know, there's many different ways that you can actually affect change within the corporate United States of America. Let me just make this straight. It is not a republic. There is no such thing as the Republic of the United States of America currently existing. It's all changed. You're listening to the Republic of Texas radio show. I'm your host, Steve O'Brien. I'm here to tell you it's all about Texas. It's all about Texas independence. I'm here to tell you also that it's not just me. It's a whole bunch of people doing all sorts of different things, and we kind of got to rope them all together. Well, I don't have to do a dang thing. All I want to do is tell you about it. I know you can do a lot of stuff in the United States to try to change things. I get that. I'm also telling you, you should be in Texas if you're a freedom and liberty loving person. If you're in Texas, you should get involved. There are many avenues for you to get involved with. Freedom Texas is one of those avenues, and I've got Peter Richards on, and I'm bloviating, I guess, but I'm really excited about this Free Texas Alliance idea, and it's just great timing.
Yes, and it's already actually started to happen. Freedom Texas had a summit a few months back, about 6 months back, where we collectively got a number of people together. So it's moving forward in the fact that we're going to have a second summit in September to talk about those 3 points and that we just mentioned, and also get input and share the responsibility and the ownership of these things with all those members that come together. So
Peter, tell me a little bit about the militias of Texas without going into any detail, because I've never really walked down that road. I know they're scattered and they're all over the place. And what does that look like? What's the lay of the land? Do you know?
Well, I think the lay of the land is with the way the militias are organized and formed right now is very individual. And a lot of people say, well, that's how we will win. Well, I don't know what we will win means, but anyway, that's the way it's always been. Therefore, we have all these little groups that run around. There's some very, very dedicated people there, and very honest people, and people that have high integrity and really, really good intentions. But I think that we need to take it to the next level. There's also, like in anywhere, and I'm also including the Texas movements for independence, there's egos. And there's egos within the militia, which is that my way is the right way, and therefore this is the way we will do it. All of that will be useless in the event of this thing called when the shit hits the fan. Because having 3 or 4 guys in a group running around dressed in whatever they like to dress in, and with a heavy focus on what weaponry that they're looking at, with almost complete ignorance, I'm not saying complete ignorance, but almost complete ignorance of modernized thermal imaging, all those sorts of things that occur, still using GPS to do tracking in the bush, all those things will disappear, because that's one of the first things that will be blacked out. A lot of them can't even find north using a wristwatch. So, I mean, essentially, when the shit hits the fan, if the clock is basically going to be set back to the era of the Vietnam War or the Korean War in terms of capability.
Hey, Peter, we got to watch our words. I didn't believe I was going to have to tell you that, because we're on AM and FM stations and commercial things, and we can't say words like TS whatever. When
I apologize. Yeah. I thought that was a common saying, but
It is, and I don't have any offense to that word, and we're not going to talk about the word. But yeah, there's all these disasters that potentially can come up, and I get where you're coming from. The electronic gadgets and gadgetry, and people are training with their night vision and this, and then boom, they're all gone. Right, you're back to sticks and stones and whatever. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I was just wondering, because militias in my mind is kind of like, small groups of individuals that have come together and formed a cohesion between them, and they say, well, we're together, right? They don't necessarily say, I'm the 14th blah, 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 blah militia. They say, well, we're together. Well, they might call themselves a militia.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, you've got the first part right. The first part right. The dedication to the militia, their local group, is absolute. I mean, I'm very impressed, and I've been with a couple of them. I'm very impressed with what they do. I think they're in the period of separation, there will be confrontation. I'm not a believer that this is going to be a clean separation where someone in Washington D.C. is going to say, "Oh, okay, you can go, and this is fine." That I think I wish that, but I don't believe it's going to happen. I think there will be confrontation. I think there needs to be some form of militia that acts locally, but also can report in and contribute on a national basis. And by national, I mean Texas, on a national basis. That I don't see is there. Here's a case in point. Let's say someone blew the whistle today, right now, and you had to, this disaster happened, which would cause a total collapse or breakdown in currency or the electrical grid that we have, which, by the way, we should talk about, because that's a capability that Texas has and should keep. And the disaster happens. What's going to happen? Are we going to have 3 or 4 guys suddenly put on their AR-15s with all different colored camos roaming the streets? I mean, at the moment, that's pretty well near a description that would happen. Will they do that in an organized manner? Probably. Will it be cohesive from one region of Texas to another? Maybe. In other words, West Texas letting East Texas know what's going on, North Texas knowing that someone's crossed the line, and West Texas coming to their assistance in a cohesive manner. I haven't seen that type yet. Maybe it's there. But at the moment, my experience says it's not. And this is where I think what we're going to talk about at the next summit meeting that we have, which is how do we get that on? I mean, how do we get that going? How do we put down our separate personal feelings or egos and actually come together as a Texas militia group? I'm saying that is on the agenda. I don't have the solution, but that's a question.
I like the question first. I think that's part of the solution is the question. Hey, I'm going to go to the phone lines here in a second. 1-800-313-9443. I would like to talk to you a little bit about, I believe, some Freedom Texas folks, and we'll do this after the callers. Went down and talked to the Tea Party a couple weeks ago. Do you have any information about that? I don't want to touch that right now. I just wanted to see if we can talk about it at all.
I don't have any information about that. I was not involved.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Phil. Hey, let's go to the callers. 1-800-313-9443. Let's start with Larry in Nebraska. Larry, what's on your mind, man?
Well, I sit here and I listen to you guys come up with all these so-called solutions. Back in 1980, in the 80s, we had a group of people that decided to get together. Nebraska was known as the white spot of the nation because we were the last state to implement gas tax, sales tax, income tax, etc., etc. So we got the label called the white spot of the nation. Anyway, in the 1980s, there was a white spot committee that decided that they were going to make the federal government null and void within the state of Nebraska. And I qualified 3 counties all by myself, put on many miles, and because I was part of a group, okay, and we got enough signatures, but they had a big push. They needed a little more money. Anyway, another guy and I borrowed money, and we were ready to push it over, and some guy made off with all the money. Anyway, so I guess what I'm saying is groups, if we do it as an army of one, okay, if you say you don't like the state system, then get out of it. I haven't been part of the state system since 1993. I don't partake in all those rules, hardly any of them. And what I should do is go out and find 10 more just like me, and then those 10 go out and find 10 more just like them, and just be an army of one. Anyway, that's I don't think groups are so easily infiltrated, and we have been. Because I've been part of several groups, the feds have enough resources to put a Gestapo member under every rock, and that's where we're at. Anyway, yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's sweet. Well, I really appreciate the call. That's interesting. I've never heard that bit of Nebraska history. Before you get off the phone, Peter, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's obviously truth. I mean, that's a real life experience, and there's always a danger of infiltration. But I also think individual armies of one spattered around everywhere doesn't actually make a movement. If those armies of one come together and make multiples, then that's something significant. But the call is right. I mean, one could always have infiltration of that could upset that. You just got to be very careful as to how you move forward, and of course, it's always got to be in a legal manner. That's my thought on that. But I do not think if you have 100,000 people in a state and they've all opted out of the system and they're individuals, that in of itself doesn't invoke change. And you cannot run I don't think you can run a state or a government as a group of multiples of individuals all opting out.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to...
Well, I'm going to say one thing. There is a Supreme Court decision that says that if you partake of the benefits in one hand receive benefits in one hand, you can't talk against it with your other hand. So if you're part of the system, you don't have any standing. If you're part of the Social Security system and drawing, you don't have the standing to talk against it. Same thing goes with everything.
Yeah, that's it. That's if they actually obey their laws, their rulings, their decisions. They don't. They're crazy. It's an insane world. Larry, thank you so much. We will be touching on, that bit of being free as opposed to being in the system on the weeks going forward as we deal with the Doc Krupa and Susie Kamek issue, and that's a cute one. Thanks for the call, Larry. Hey, we've still got a little bit of time left. We got Mike in South Carolina. Hey, Mike, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Welcome. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
That last comment about not being able to discuss anything if you're on Social Security, I don't know about you, but I paid into it for 50 years. I earned it. It belongs to me. And if I have something to say about it, I'll say something about it, and you're not going to shut me up, okay? I earned that right, okay? You fraudulently misled me by taking something, and then Bill Clinton turns right around and takes all the retirement funds out and puts an IOU in there. You're dealing with some fraudulent, evil people, okay? And Peter, your idea, those three ideas, those three ways to go to get where you need to go are excellent ideas. I've thought about those for a long time, and I'd like to add something to yours if you don't mind.
Come on.
That is in the first one for selecting people for an ideology. I would put a restriction, say if they're anti-American or if they are I just lost it. I don't know why. Anti-American or anti-Christian, then they are not to be in those positions. This country was based on constitutional Christianity belief systems. We don't need anybody else in here. You want to come, vacation, have yourself a good time, stay a while. Don't forget to leave. Spend all the money you want to, but we're not going to turn this country back over to anti-Christian people. We've already been infiltrated by anti-Christian people. They're trying to uproot everything there is. Everything's turned upside down. The Supreme Court justices are a complete, total joke. This is out of control. And, Peter, there's one more suggestion. Take Washington, D.C., which is, and just vote it as another state, and then create a statehood of states and let it be that way. You'll be dissolved completely. It won't exist any longer as its own state instead of District of District of Columbia, okay? Which is actually it's just another idea that you might want to pass on. It makes more sense to me. D.C. stands for Duck City, by the way. That's the district that quacks. Carry on. Y'all doing it.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Hey, Larry. I'm sorry, Peter. What do you think? What are your thoughts there?
Well, he's absolutely right. I mean, when we talk about ideology, we're talking about the Founding Fathers' ideology, a Judeo-Christian foundation where everyone has equal opportunity, but it's a republic, and you have that equal opportunity under the laws of this land. And that's 1776, and that's the original Constitution as it was written. He's absolutely right. I mean, this is where we want. It's not a question of going back; it's a question of returning, because we've severely veered off that path. Mm-hmm. That's the ideology that we're looking at, and in a reformation of Texas as a nation.
Well, when I get it, I understand that point of view. I also see those 2 points being injected into the 3 points that we were talking about as being dividing and factors that the government doesn't necessarily need to be involved with, judging a person's religious beliefs and so forth. And I understand the reason we're judging people's moral or religious beliefs is to try to get back to a moral state that agrees with our spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs, or however you want to say it. But then when we sit there and, I know in context he said, what was that Mike was saying? He was saying if you don't believe in America or if you don't like America, you should be out, right? Well, of course, we're talking about Texas here, and I'll tell you something about America. It doesn't exist, right? I love the concept of the United States of America, a republic. Do I love America right now? The bloodthirsty monster going around the world, the one that poisons its kids, its children, everybody. It's an evil beast. Do I like America? My God, it's just nefarious. It poisons the hearts and minds and works. Oh, God. No, I can't say that I like America. Do I like a Republic of Texas? Yeah, I kind of, I like that idea. I like the idea of a Republic of the United States, something that's non-intrusive, that's guided by a Constitution. That's kind of like what I get out of that whole thing. I like Texas. Does that mean that I can, be part of a free Texas? Yeah, I hope so. Hey, here's the music. We'll finish this off on the other side. I've got Peter Richard from Freedom, Texas on the line. We're talking freedom. We're talking Texas. Right back.
Extendivite really works. Here is what people are saying.
Heart problems were in my family, and I did notice these chest pains occasionally. I decided to try it, and I don't think I'm going to stop for quite a while. Nothing has worked as well as this product has promised to. I've taken, supplements and that sort of thing, and never really noticed a difference.
Well, I turned 60, and when I went into the doctor to get my reports, the lady at the desk, she looked at it, and she says, wow. I says, what's that say? So she came back and looked at my last check, and she says, well, you've gone down half on your cholesterol. So she says, I guess don't do a thing, only what you're doing right now.
To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Dr. Joel Wallach, author of the famous health lecture Dead Doctors Don't Lie, presents his newest book, Epigenetics. Epigenetics is required reading for the very survival of Americans, and yes, all of humanity. Modern man has bet on the wrong horse to save them from disease and pestilence. The medical system has failed us fearfully. Join the health revolution. Buy Epigenetics today and receive a free membership to purchase all the products that Dr. Joel Wallach formulated at wholesale prices and receive a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. All this for only $25 plus shipping and handling. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311. Again, that's just $25 plus shipping and handling. And you'll receive the new book, Epigenetics, a free membership, and a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311.
Doctors don't want you to know about iodine because it allows the body to heal itself quickly and permanently. Iodine Now is a complete powder formulation that will load iodine into the body with vitamin C for the best possible absorption. Iodine Now, available by the case. And for protection from radiation, fluoride, chlorine, and bromine, including all heavy metals. We believe that this is the main element that humans need more than any other at this time. This formulation is infused with our bioactive aerobic rare earth nutrient powder that has a powerful negative charge that attracts positive toxins. Why not buy one product that does the job of 20 and saves you space, time, and money? Has a storage life of 100 years. All for about $18 a month. Call 888-910-4367 or visit hempusa.org. Call 888-910-4367. Bringing back the universal medicine for mankind. Iodine Now. Only at hempusa.org.
Do you believe in America? This beautiful thing, this shiny bastion of truth that's out there in the universe, beating up people for what? Freedom and liberty? I don't know, I believed it when I was a kid. Right now I don't, and I'm really angry, and I want to return someplace on the in the world to a free and independent thing. That's why I'm talking about Texas, and that's why I'm talking too much, and I just got my hackles up. Because I can get angry when you sit there and you tell me that America is good, the corporate United States of America. Well, it doesn't have any characteristics that are good. When it tries to help you, it hurts you. It's not good. Okay. We only have a few minutes left. I've got a very important guest on the line. His name is Peter Richards. He's from Freedom, Texas. I'm going to let him run with the next few minutes and just finish it off with whatever thoughts. I have a song, and I usually go with only Texas music, but this song really sung to my heart, and I'd like you to listen to it at the end of the show, because it's very important. It talks about the occupied United States, and it's used under fair use. Fair use means I could actually, play it, and I point to it and say, this is our life, this is the world. Hey, Peter, let me shut my yap. What's important? How do we close this off? Tell me.
Well, I think just going back to the previous caller, and the statement you made, Steve, which was talking about Judeo-Christian values and political ideology. You're absolutely right. The separation of church and state is very important. But if you recall, we have an ideology, we have a militia, and then we have a social plan. And the religious values really are part of the social plan, which is what you want your values to be based on. And so that when we were talking about that, it was separated from the political party. But I think I'm going to inject a couple of thoughts here, which is that I'm afraid that the U.S. did fulfill a role of leadership worldwide, and whether people wanted that or not, it doesn't matter. People would like to see a success story. They like to see leadership, and I've got relations in Australia. I've got relations in South Africa. And there's something really missing in the world. And everybody knows about Texas. And the idea that Texas as a free and independent nation and republic certainly is very appealing, but someone has to do something. There's a huge vacuum out there. Can Texas fulfill what the U.S. does? I don't know. And that's not the objective. But the objective is to get ourselves back on track. So one of the things that we did was measuring how we got back on track, and Freedom Texas put together, in association with a lot of other groups, 20 points that should be monitored. The first thing we need to do is to maintain our sovereignty, to get towards a sovereign position. It's pointless declaring independence and you're not sovereign. I think one of your other callers talking about going individualization of one people, off the grid, these sorts of things. Basically, that's what he was saying, was that you have to maintain sovereignty to sustain the independence. And so we've put together 20 points which have been published with other people, and we've been measuring those. And so far, and surprisingly and very positively, this new government in Austin, probably under the leadership of Greg Abbott, but anyway, has 11 of those 20 points. Some move towards sovereignty has happened in this very short period of time, and we should all be watching that.
We're out of time there, Peter. We're going to have to do this again. Thanks for joining us.
I turn you in, so I'll wait till tomorrow to file my report. And tonight we can party. Yeah, tonight we're gonna party. Tonight we can party like it's 1984.
Life is us, my friends.
The word vigor is defined in the dictionary as health and strength in body and mind. Do you have enough health and strength in body and mind? Would you like to pursue life with passion? Would you like to know where you stand when it comes to your vigor score? That's right. There's a free scientific test you can take now that'll help you find out what your vigor score is. Then you can do things to improve that score. Did you know that? It's absolutely free, F-R-E-E free. All you got to do is get a hold of Kurt Crosby. You can do so, C-U-R-T, that's Kurt, C-U-R-T, at LibertyRoundtable.com. Or call Kurt at 801-669-2211. That's 801-669-2211. Would you like to learn about the scientifically proven vigor test? It's free. How would you like to improve your vigor score? Again, inexpensive solutions are available now. Call Kurt Crosby at 801-669-2211 or Kurt, C-U-R-T, at LibertyRoundtable.com for your free vigor score test today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.